Today marks the 30th anniversary of the Montreal massacre that killed 14 women at École Polytechnique. Greta Thunberg makes a stand for change at the UN climate talks as evidence of environmental damage mounts. Washing your clothes could make you famous. If you're a chimpanzee, that is. Humber News starts now. Hello, I'm Sydney Walcott coming to you from the newsroom at Humber's North Campus. It's Friday, December 6th. Here's what's making news this hour. Flags are flying at half-staff at Humber College and around the country as we remember the 14 women killed in the Montreal massacre 30 years ago today. On December 6, 1989, a man walked into an engineering class at the University of Montreal's École Polytechnique. He separated the men from the women and shot and killed the women, shouting, "You're all feminists." Humber College held a diversity and inclusion dialogue today to honor those who died and to keep the conversation going. Tyler Biggs was there.
It was 30 years ago today when a lone gunman walked into a class, separated the women from the men, and committed the worst mass shooting in Canadian history. In a sign of the times, the massacre is now recognized as an example of gender-based violence, even though those same claims were dismissed years ago. Today, Canada remembers the students who lost their lives, and the names of the women can be read on a plaque outside of the school. Recently, the sign was changed from saying a tragic event to described as an anti-feminist attack, as it is now only being seen for what it was. Cities across the country are honoring the 14 women, and Humber is doing the same, honoring the women who lost their lives and the issues of violence against women. The event, which featured speeches by Indigenous women, connected the violence from 30 years ago to current issues facing women today. The event began with the traditional Indigenous opening prayer and a performance featuring jingle dresses. Indigenous scholar Tasha Beeds came to Humber to discuss gender-based violence.
I do have hope. I do have hope because I think this next generation is becoming more conscious and more aware of those connections, because once you see them and once you start to realize them and be able to make them, it changes you.
The event ended with a communal signing of an anti-violence poster in hopes to keep the dialogue going throughout the year and to raise awareness and support. With Humber News, I'm Tyler Biggs.
A Canadian who was detained in Turkey for allegedly attempting to join ISIS was charged by the RCMP today. Ikar Mao and his wife Halima Mustafa were detained in Turkey in July. Mao is now facing 1 count of participating in terrorism activity and 1 count of leaving Canada to participate in terrorism activity. He could face up to 14 years in prison. The couple were picked up near the Syrian border, and authorities say Mao had ISIS propaganda on his phone. The newlyweds were held in Turkey for 3 months before being acquitted and returned home to Canada. Mao, who has denied the Turkish allegations that he was radicalized, saying that the videos automatically appeared on his phone as he was surfing the internet. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's first throne speech since the federal election was yesterday. The speech included themes of climate change, health and safety, Indigenous reconciliation, and strengthening the middle class. Other topics discussed were cracking down on money laundering, tax-free parental benefits, and a new ambitious agenda for progressive reform. The speech also included measures to combat gun violence. The Liberals are promising a ban on military-style firearms and will implement a buyback gun program. Additional plans to fight climate change are also being discussed with the hope of zero green gas emissions from Canada by 2050. While other parties are like the Bloc and NDP are opening to a collaboration with the Liberal government, Conservative leader Andrew Scheer said he was very disappointed the Prime Minister didn't address any concerns from the West. As Greta Thunberg arrives in Madrid to take part in UN climate talks, there's even more evidence of danger facing the planet. This is what Victoria Falls used to look like, but this is what it looks like now. The world's biggest waterfall, located at the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, has slowed to a trickle. What was one of the region's biggest tourist attractions is now nothing but dry stone.
Some time back, I heard about climate change. I thought it was just a story people used to talk about, not until I came to see what is happening here at the Victoria Falls. The falls is completely dry.
Meanwhile, in eastern Russia, dozens of starving polar bears gathered by the Chukotka settlement, the organization patrolling the area to ensure the bears are not entering the area. According to World Wildlife Fund Russia, 56 polar bears are now unable to leave the area and hunt because the ice is not thick enough. Uber has fulfilled a promise to be more transparent about its safety policy with the release of their sexual assault data. The ride-hailing platform received more than 3,000 reports of sexual assault, including rape, related to its trips in the United States in 2018. During that time, Uber had roughly 1.3 billion riders. The company noted that 99.9% of rides didn't have any reported safety issues. This comes after Uber came under pressure from regulators in many cities, including London, which recently rescinded the company's license to carry passengers because of security concerns. 4 people are dead after a hijacked UPS truck results in a deadly shootout. A South Florida robbery of a UPS truck left the kidnapped driver and 2 robbers dead. The 4th victim was hit by a stray bullet from gunfire after a high-speed chase at a crowded intersection. The chase began with a jewelry store robbery, where police were notified by a silent store alarm. The thieves stole the UPS truck to flee the scene, but were pursued by multiple police cruisers and helicopters. The truck eventually pulled over, and in a desperate attempt, the robbers engaged in a fatal shootout, but were clearly outnumbered as police bullets unloaded into the truck, killing the man.
The incidents that you've watched recently that it ended up in Broward County is
UPS has agreed to cooperate with the authorities as the FBI take over the investigation. RCMP have arrested 9 people in one of the largest meth busts in Manitoba's history. One of the men, Kenny Erstel, is reportedly a member of the Canadian biker gang Hells Angels. The arrest comes after the police executed 7 search warrants, one of which was in Calgary. Methamphetamine, cocaine, cash, and a number of motor vehicles were seized by police at a home in Winnipeg. The total value of seized items is still being tallied. The 9 people arrested are all facing drug and money laundering charges. Nova Scotia is the first province in Canada to ban the sale of flavored e-cigarettes and juices. Ontario is also hinting that it may soon do the same. After health advocacy groups urged the government to take action, restrictions on vaping will begin next year in Nova Scotia. For 30 years, Nova Scotia has drastically reduced youth smoking rates. A recent survey showed 95% of young smokers say they preferred flavored juices. 48% of those surveyed say they would quit if
this is not just about reducing vaping access and use, but also as a means to stem potential transfers into traditional tobacco usage as well.
Beginning next month, Ontario will ban promotion of vaping products in convenience stores and gas stations. The youth vaping epidemic will come to an end in Nova Scotia starting on April 1st, 2020. More vaping legislations are set for next year as the province is planning a public education campaign. The City of Toronto has declared the year 2021 the Year of Public Art. The city is revamping its public art strategy for the first time in 30 years. The strategy is to revitalize Toronto by installing several pieces of local and homegrown art. There will be grants of up to $50,000 for the year of the public art projects. The idea is to improve public access to art and create more landmarks.
A fairly good history, thanks to city policies put in place by people before me, where we have contributions made to public art and installations put in place.
Partnerships include the Art Gallery of Ontario and Museum of Contemporary Art. These opportunities will help benefit Toronto artists seeking work beyond the 2021 plan. Ontario has passed a new law to protect animals. A team of 100 provincial inspectors and specialists will enforce animal welfare laws in public facilities such as zoos, aquariums, livestock, and horses. Penalties can reach up to $1 million for repeat offenders. This includes accountability measures for inspector conduct, since inspectors are permitted to save animals from locked cars in extreme weather conditions. Solicitor General Sylvia Jones says the new law makes Ontario a national leader in protecting animals with a modern animal welfare system. The Provincial Animal Welfare Service Act is designed to take over enforcement responsibilities from the OSPCA. The new law comes into effect on January 1st. Police in Telangana, India are suspected of taking the law into their own hands after killing 4 men arrested in connection with the rape and murder of a woman. The 4 suspects were arrested but had yet not been charged. Many took to the streets demanding they receive the death penalty. The police were showered with flowers, ceremonial gifts, and fireworks to celebrate what most believed to be justice served.
The God has given judgment through this Telangana police. I appeal to all
According to CNN, the 27-year-old victim's family has thanked the police, saying she can finally attain peace. However, some people, including the chairperson of India's National Women's Commission, believe justice belongs in the hands of the legal system.
I'm feeling happy that this was the end we all wanted for them, but this end was supposed to be through the legal system.
According to India's National Crime Records Bureau, around 100 sexual assaults are reported to police in India every day, but most cases never even go to court. Many are worried this incident might set the wrong trend when it comes to serving justice in the country. As the dust settles after a 6-story building collapsed in Kenya, 2 are dead and even more are feared trapped. The residential building located in the Kenyan capital of Nairobi came crashing down early this morning. Rescue workers worked tirelessly by hand with heavy machinery to free those trapped under the rubble. Kenya has seen similar tragedies like this in the past. 49 people died in 2016 when another building collapsed during a heavy nighttime downpour. So far, the death toll is at 2, and 27 people are injured. We are going to take a quick break. Still ahead, the latest in sports. But first, Nate Smith has a preview of your 3-day forecast.
The snow is falling harder than the Raptors lately. We saw more snow than expected, but that's not going to stop me, like how it stopped Sheridan Davis campus today. Sheridan College is closed today due to Brampton power outages. The Davis campus students received notice from the college this morning after Electra Utilities reported the outage at 8 a.m. 4,500 Brampton residents were also without power. Although the campus regained power, the school will remain closed. Sheridan's Hazel, McAllen, and Trafalgar campuses are still open. We're looking at a big turnaround this weekend, so be sure to stay tuned for the 3-day forecast.